Hey sharks, hello, Brie Sodano, coming to you live tonight from my personal page and my business page and my YouTube and in my group with this nifty software that lets me go live from a couple places at once. So today, what I want to talk about is spending money to fix a money problem. So that's what we're going to be talking about. So if this is your first time ever catching me live, please say hello so that way I could say hi and welcome you to the community. If you are someone who is live comes live all the time, please say hello so that way I could say hi and I know that you're here. And if you feel the urge to want to tag somebody or share this video, please feel free to do it. All right. So what I want to talk about today is like the number one biggest myth that keeps people stuck in poverty consciousness, right? So when we talk about there's some words around like abundance mindset, scarcity mindset, abundance consciousness, wealth consciousness, poverty consciousness, right? So these words get tossed around a lot. And so here's the deal. Can you imagine if Jeff Bezos was to lose every single dollar that he ever made? How long do you think it would take for him to be a millionaire again? You think he could make it back to billionaire again in his lifetime? What about Oprah? Do you think if she lost every single dollar that she's ever made, if her business collapsed, do you think that she could be a millionaire or billionaire again in her life? Now think about lottery winners. They're poor. They get multi-millions of dollars, and 85% are worse off financially 5 years later than when they started. 85% of lottery winners are worse off financially having won the lottery. This is like the delineation of these kinds of consciousness. There's some people who, no matter what would happen to them in their lives, they would be able to get their money back because they have abundance consciousness or wealth consciousness. There's some people that would be poor no matter how much money they have, right? We all know somebody that more money just makes a bigger mess out of their life, right? Right? Give me a heart or a like or a funny face if you know someone in your life who more money just makes a bigger mess. This is a thing. So there's different levels of thought that yield different results. So one of the biggest myths that keeps people stuck around money is the belief that money is simple black and white math. Like, dude, you do the math on paper. You make your budget and then you don't spend money that wasn't on your budget. Done, right? Have any of you ever heard that advice? Well, make a plan for your money. You do the math on the paper, and then if there's not enough money on the paper, then you don't spend the money. It seems simple enough, right? Here's the deal. That type of advice, while very simple, and if you could follow it, sure, great. The thing is money is not simple black and white. What I've found working with so many clients over the course of the last few years is that there's simultaneously 4 different realities that are happening at the exact same time, right? So we have so there's the reality of our judgments. So this is every truth that you've ever solidified in your brain for yourself. The realm of judgments is the realm of truth for you. This is where all of your personal experiences live. This is where the stuff that you learned at home lives. This is where the stuff that you learned even on TV, even the stuff that you saw on TV. This is the stuff that you picked up at school. This is where that stuff lives, in the realm of judgments. Then we have the realm of thoughts. Now, the realm of thoughts is the realm of your conscious mind, right? And so in the realm of thoughts, we can even think about our consciousness, which is the thing that can observe the thoughts, which is this ethereal, when you're being your own observer, you're in your consciousness. When your mind is running amok, it's just your thoughts, right? So we want to think about those 2 things are very much your conscious mind. And so we're going to put them in one realm. Then we have the realm of the emotions, right? Show of hands, give me a heart if you have ever bought something to feel different. Today, I bought a cup of coffee because I wanted to feel different. I bought a cup of coffee. I wanted a little caffeine jolt. I was in my car. I had a long ride. So I bought a cup of coffee to feel different. I wanted that caffeine. I wanted it. Right. And so I felt different. And it was like very much, and it wasn't like a major emotion. I wasn't having like, I didn't have to share my story, my life story with the barista or anything. I was just like, I would like to feel different. I will buy a cup of coffee. And then we have the realm of actions. Then we have our physical realm, right? So when I'm working with clients, like we're going to do the practical stuff. Like it's going to happen. Like, so I have a new program actually called Cash Confident, and I've trained a coach to do the cash flow work with my clients. So they get into their transactions. They go through the practical stuff together. We work on changing habits. Like, well, what's causing this type level of stuff? But the truth is there's so much that happens in those other realms that you could never address with a budget. You can't address your past judgments, your versions of the truth that are too small for your life with a budget. It's not what a budget does. It's not what a budget does. So I'm going to tell you. So in doing this program, and so listen, I used to offer Cash Confident. I used to do all of the coaching on it just by myself. But the business has grown and demand is through the roof, knock on wood, thank goodness. And so we brought another coach on. And I'll tell you that one of the biggest mental hurdles for people to be able to do this, people who really, really need it, people who want to work with me, people who followed me for years, is investing the money in a money coach. Like their brain is like, what? You're going to spend money to fix the money problem? That literally doesn't make sense, self. Like, what are you talking about? That's crazy talk. If you had the money, you wouldn't need her. So you're not, this doesn't even make sense, right? And so I get it because I've been doing this for a long time. So I want to explain some of the things that goes into wealth consciousness and some of the things that I work with clients with that's got nothing to do. Like that's so much more than like you're going to pay her to do addition and subtraction for you. That doesn't make sense because that's it's important. It's critical we do it because it is important, but it's such a tiny fragment. So the first thing that I want to talk about is what would you work with a money coach on in the realm of judgments? So first I want to explain how judgments affect your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. So a judgment is just something that you've decided at some point in your life it was true. At some point in your life, you decided this was true. So a lot of times what I'm working with clients on is finding judgments literally from like childhood. Like we're doing, so like when I work with clients in Cash Confident, we do bi-weekly money mindset meetings where we're actually interacting on a Zoom, like in a Zoom meeting. So we're talking back and forth. And because those judgments that you make affect your thoughts, they affect the opportunities that you're going to see. Like the judgments will affect the decisions that you're able to make. They're going to literally impact what your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that sees opportunities, what it can see. Now, your judgments also affect your emotional space. Like if you have a judgment that says money is the root of all evil, how much money can you have before you start to feel evil? It's not much more than enough to survive. The math is, the exact math is different for everybody, but it's going to be like one smidge above survival. If you believe that money is the root of all evil, your emotions will stop you from having anything more. They will. You will feel bad. You'll feel guilty. You'll feel like you don't deserve it. Now, you can have that judgment. You can have a judgment that money is the root of all evil, and you can have a master's degree in something that should be a lucrative field. And guess what will happen? You'll find a job at a nonprofit that underpays you and wants you to work 60 hours a week for a 35-hour salary and crappy benefits. That's what happens, right? So judgments, most of the time, your judgments are too small because most of the judgments that you've made, most of the truths that you've seen in the world You literally put them into your brain, into your consciousness before you were 10 years old. So I'm going to tell you guys a story of how some of this happens, and like how we make it to be true. And then once our brain finds something to be truth, it backs it up with two different things. So one is, it's called confirmation bias. It's that your thoughts, your reticular activating system is going to see all the evidence of this thing being true. If you decide money is the root of all evil, you will see money being used in evil ways. You will see it every single day because that's what you've decided that you're going to see. Your reticular activating system is going to work to find all of that. And at the same time it's working to find it, you're going to have another thing called cognitive dissonance, which is going to like brush off any facts to the contrary, right? This is the same reason why trying to convince somebody of your political opinion is literally like banging your face against the wall. Like you can't get them to do, you can't, when somebody is so stuck in one truth, so stuck in one judgment, they have confirmation bias to show that their side is right, and they have cognitive dissonance to show that your side is wrong. It's why it's honestly like why people are like, well, don't talk about politics at the dinner table because you're just going to get into a fight because your brain is not working with you to be open-minded. Now, if you've ever heard the phrase open-minded, those are people that have worked to take their judgments down. And so the thing that I work with clients on is starting to find these judgments that don't support the life that we want. So I'm going to give you an example. So I had a client, underpaid, way underpaid. And she had a judgment that getting a job was really hard because it took her a long time to get the job she had, and the job before that she waited a long time to get that job. She went on a lot of job interviews. These were truths. This definitely happened to her. But that idea, like you can have a tough time getting one job and that has no impact on the next job you get. It doesn't even make sense, right? But if you have that belief, you're going to see evidence of jobs being hard to get. You're going to see, and you're going to feel like when people get jobs easy, you're going to be like, well, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's who you know, right? So the realm of judgments is where the big work happens. Like if you are going to be my client, this is where the shattering of old paradigms happens, because most people were not raised by wealthy people who also had a healthy relationship with money, who also had a healthy relationship with their spouse and their kids. Like most of us didn't grow up in that sort of circumstances. So if you grew up in poverty, you have poverty consciousness. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it until you do the work to remove those judgments, right? If you grew up in a situation where money was a fear, money was stressful, money was exhausting, money was a source of tension, some of that still lives in you. You're going to have to work on it to start to get those things down. And that's some of the work that I do with my clients, because that's where the massive, massive impact is. I will tell you from my own story. So I had a belief, I had a judgment that I could work and get paid, and that was cool. I could do that. And I could help people. But the helping of the people had to be for free from the goodness of my heart. They were mutually exclusive in my mind, that it was okay, and that I could also help people, but it had to be for free. Otherwise, it wasn't helping people. It was something different. There was a story that I have that made that true when I was like 6 years old. When I first hired my first business coach, I was like, well, I don't charge too much. I was giving so much work away for free. Literally, I was undercharging. I was not charging people for appointments. There was so much work that I was doing for free, offering massive, massive amounts of value. And it was the work that I felt the best doing, was the work that I was doing for free, because that work I was connected to, I was really feeling like it was making a difference in people's lives. And it was, because it's good work. The work that I do is good work. And so this idea was blocked. Like literally, I'd be like, don't pay me for the appointment. Tell your friends to come see me. I'm not going to charge them either. Like I was literally rejecting the money because I wanted to be helpful. When I decided that people get paid to help other people. That's like the entirety of professions. All professions make money for helping someone in some way, shape, or form, right? Farmers get paid for cooking, for growing the food, so I don't have to. Policemen get paid for peacekeeping, so I don't have to. Like all these professions, right? That changed my income. I went from making like $3,000 a month to $25,000 a month within a year. That one idea was costing me $22,000 a month. $22,000 a month. Can you guys? It's crazy. So that was a judgment. This is the level of work that I do with my clients. Then we start to work on thoughts. And here's why. Because your thoughts, your conscious thoughts, program the truths, and they like lead emotions. See, I see there's a good handful of you live right now. Give me a heart or a like if you right now can think yourself into a relaxed state, calm beach, beautiful ice cold margaritas, more than attractive service, bringing you treats, snacks. Or can you think about something that an ex-lover of yours has done that you could literally think yourself into a full state of pissed off right now, right? So your thoughts lead your emotions, right? So learning to first observe and then take inventory of your thoughts changes your emotional state, which when we get to actions, you're going to see is really important because emotions drive actions. Like people think that their thoughts drive actions. Not so much. Not so much. If you've ever thought that you were going to go on a diet and then ate whatever the hell you wanted, you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever put a plan in place and then not done that, you know what I'm talking about. Thoughts don't drive actions. Emotions drive actions. But your thoughts impact your emotions. The thoughts also program judgments, right? So the thoughts really work on two different levels. So your thoughts, if you say to yourself, God, I'm bad at money. I am so bad at money. I'm broke. I don't trust myself with money. I can't manage money. I hate money. All right, now look, did you just watch me do that? Now, look, in my emotional state, I can start to feel the scarcity. I can start to feel disappointed with myself. I can start to feel literal self-loathing right now for my inability to trust my own damn self with money, right? And when you say sentences that start with I am amazing, I am bad at money, those things go right to the subconscious brain as truths. And like not little truths, like truths. So like you program your identity with the things that you say. So learning to take control over your mind is like critical to success. So when I'm working with clients, this is the important work that we're doing. Like people think they're going to be getting me to do basic math for them. No. I mean, yeah, we're going to do that because that's, like I said, critically important, super important. But the main thing that we're really doing is we're starting to learn to observe our thoughts. We're going to use those thoughts to find the judgments because the judgments are invisible. Like the judgments definitely exist, but if you think about them, like imagine a glass maze, a maze made out of pure glass. And if you never bump into those kind of thoughts, like if you never touch them, you never get fingerprints on it, you can go your whole life without knowing that those judgments are there. Like you ever watch a bird fly into a glass window? It happens. And this is all deep in your subconscious. So it's twofold. You have to learn to teach your mind to make judgment, like to program judgments that are supportive for the life that you want. And you have to learn to control your thoughts so that way they can lead your emotions to better places. I promise you, you make better decisions when you feel satisfied with your life, when you feel grateful, when you feel happy, when you feel bliss, joy. You will make your better decisions than if you feel terrified, desperate, sad, lonely. The actions that you take in the states of desperation, loneliness, scarcity, you cannot take an action in scarcity and have it work out in your favor in the abundance realm. It's not how it works. So learning to control those thoughts This takes time. This is the work that I do with my clients. I coach my clients depending on the program that they're in. I have two coaching programs. I have Cash Confident and Limitless Wealth. And the main difference is that Cash Confident is really for people who are employees, and Limitless Wealth is better suited for business owners. But learning to control your mind, it shows you where the judgments are, because judgments are just judgments. You can take them down. Like you've changed probably a judgment about something this week. Sometimes we get new information. The judgment no longer holds water. It's not true anymore. Sometimes our feelings change and a judgment changes. Judgments, once you find them, are easy to change. And I teach my clients like just a questioning process. You question a belief until that belief can no longer stand. And then I teach another process called reframing, where you like retell an old story in your mind and you give it a new meaning. So you like decide a different truth from the exact same experience. So then so again, you have to do this in the realm of thought. Like you have to use your thoughts to kind of comb through all of your memories to be able to find the stuff where your seed, like where stuff was planted, where your seeds were planted, your mental, like not seeds, like your invisible walls. Then we have the realm of emotions. Now, you're not going to control your emotions per se. Like you're going to learning to feel your feelings is honestly like one of the most powerful things that you'll do, not just on a financial realm, but just like for satisfaction in your life and like happiness and like a prosperous life, like learning to feel your feelings. So the thing about emotions is that it does take a pretty high level of emotional intelligence to change all of your financial decisions to good financial decisions, because your emotions drive your purchasing decisions. Your emotions really matter. Like, so when people are like, well, you just make a budget, you just stop buying lattes. Duh. You stop buying lattes and then all of a sudden you're going to be a millionaire. One, I'm going to tell you the truth. I've never seen coffee ruin I've never had a client where coffee was the difference between their financial success or failure. I don't even know why this is a thing, this idea about lattes. But your emotions really get into this. And do you know what are some very expensive emotions? I'm going to tell you. Being exhausted, massively expensive, massively expensive. Show of hands, give me a like or a heart if you've ever bought something in a space of, I literally can't deal with this right now. I can't deal with cooking dinner right now. You need soccer cleats right now. Right now, we're supposed to be at soccer practice in 2 seconds. And you're telling me you don't know where your cleats are? All right, we'll stop at Kmart on the way. Anybody ever buy something in a space of like literally like I can't deal? That's exhausted. Being busy also, and being busy is not exactly an emotion until like you can feel it. You know, somebody who's like, you ever like meet somebody who's like so busy, they like are like intense, they freak you out a little bit. Being busy, massively, massively expensive, because when you're busy, everything that you need to do, except for the one thing that you're in the middle of doing, slips your mind. Busy people generally don't do fantastic planning. My busiest clients go to the grocery store 5 days a week and have no meals made. They order food out. Right? Being busy is exhausted. Mom guilt. Feeling guilty about working too much, feeling guilty about the divorce, feeling guilty about, saying no last time, feeling guilty because you scrolled on the internet instead of being active, whatever your particular little bag of crap is with your kids. Mom guilt, massively, massively expensive, wildly expensive. Stress, insecurities, massively expensive. If you've ever bought something because you wanted to feel different about how you look today, right? I put lipstick on right before this live. I mean, I already had the lipstick. I didn't have to buy it, but why? Because I want you to think I'm prettier than I am. So I'm going to paint my face, and I needed to buy that to be able to do that, right? So these emotions drive your decisions. And so putting plans in place is great. Great. You should totally do that. But you need to address what emotions you're buying, because if you leave an emotional hole in your budget, It's not going to matter. You're not going to stick to it. The other thing about actions is they need to be congruent with your identity, which lives all the way in the realm of judgments. So the realm of judgments, this is where like the pieces of your identity, when we talked about thoughts, all those I am statements, oh, I'm good at money, I'm bad at money, I'm this, I'm that, all those things comprise your identity. So let's just say you have an identity that says, I'm blue collar, I'm middle class. I grew up poor, and middle class is really like my zone, right? My zone. Well, you decide in your conscious mind that you'd actually, in fact, like to retire today. And you know what? Those kids that you have, you actually do want to send them to college, so you should be saving some money, right? So the conscious mind decides this. So you decide to put a plan in place and take those actions, right? The thing is if you start taking actions that are incongruent with the identity that you possess about yourself, you will go somewhere between 2 and 6 weeks before this falls apart. The same thing happens for diets. Show of hands, give me a like or a heart if you've ever called yourself fat in the mirror. And this is something you've said to yourself multiple times over your lifetime. Then you do the budget, or you do the diet. You start making moves. You start eating the kale. You start going to the gym. You start seeing results. And then all of a sudden, all of your motivation goes away. It's because they're incongruent. It's because your actions don't match your identity. The same thing happens with money. This is a huge part of the work that I do with clients. Huge part. It's getting your identity to match the goals that you want. It's becoming the person who has the thing that you have. So when clients are investing in my 6-month or my 12-month program to work with me, there's so much that goes into self-consciousness that's got nothing to do with the paper, nothing to do with the math on paper. And part of the reason why, like when I'm working with clients, it's worth it to invest in this is for speed. I've talked with literally hundreds, like I've worked with hundreds of clients. I counted the hours the other day. I've been doing this for nearly 20,000 hours. It takes 10,000 hours to be an expert, and I've been doing this kind of work for nearly 20,000 hours. So when I hear your language patterns, I immediately know the judgment, and then we can immediately work on that. That's the sort of thing that might take you weeks to figure out and decode, right? Like, because I've helped so many clients through this process that I don't necessarily, it's quick. Like, it's quicker, it's faster. And so if you can imagine everything that I told you to do, I'm telling you, so it took me, I've been doing this 7 years, almost 8, right? Nearly 8 years I've been doing this. If it took you 8 years to figure it out, what's the cost? You could pay me to get it done in 6 months, or it could take you a few years to figure out all the things, right? And so no matter what kind of coach you get, whether or not it's me and a money coach, whether or not you want to hire a business coach, whether or not you want to hire a health coach, weight loss coach, whatever else, the point of getting a coach is that I have the experience from talking to hundreds and hundreds of people. And so I get to apply all that knowledge to you, and it takes 2 seconds to figure out what might take you 2 weeks to figure out, because this is the first time you've ever done this. You know what I mean? It's like, it's part of what you get when you work with me is the speed. Part of what you get is that I've talked to hundreds of clients, and so I'm able to like quickly figure out, oh, all right, this judgment's probably here or there. All right, and how do you feel about this? All right, let's get the emotions to match. Okay, can we work on this? All right, and this action, like I can tell when a client tells me that they're taking action, and I'm like, that's not, oh, girl, you're not ready for that. That's not going to work yet. We got to work on this identity piece, so that way when you go do the thing, it's going to work, right? And you eliminate so many flavors of failure. There's so many flavors of failure you don't have to experience because somebody else already knows, hey, that's super close, but you're off a little bit. It's not going to work. You're off just a smidge. So I wanted to break down that method, and I wanted to explain those 4 things. So I hope this was valuable for you. If you want to talk to me about Cash Confident, if you want to talk to me about Limitless Wealth, go ahead and drop a message in my DMs, and I will answer your questions and get you a link if it's something that you want to do. Both programs are an investment. They are, and the reason for that is this work requires a high level of show up. Like a high level. We're changing your identity. We're changing your thought patterns. We're changing your emotional codes. We're changing your acts. Like it requires a massive amount of you being willing to shift. And if I don't charge enough for that, you're not going to do the work. You're not. I used to undercharge. I used to charge so much less. I used to charge so much less than I do now. And I find that my clients who pay more move faster. They get better results because they exchanged. Oh, the exchange was better. The exchange was even. The exchange felt good. And so that's part of it too. Part of deciding you want to make a change in the world is like deciding not just with your mind, but like deciding with your actions, deciding with your money, deciding that you're going to do things different. Like you're like, and so what's funny is clients who start with me in Cash Confident, you know, there's levels of personal financial power. There's levels of it. The lowest level that somebody starts with is the level of debt independency. Now, this has nothing to do with income. I've had clients in level 1 that are trust fund babies doing $300,000 a year with dad's money. I've had clients in debt independency like $50,000 a year. Like it doesn't matter. Income doesn't matter. Then the next level up is actually like learning to manage cash flow. It's learning to see the future. It's learning to learn from the past. Then we start on working on earnings. So I'll tell you that most of the clients who come see me are really like right in that level 1, level 2, sometimes level 3. They're under earning, and so much of what we work on is it's like personal power that ends up being financial power. Like they're very tightly intertwined. Personal power and financial power really go like they go together. They like are stuck. So deciding like, dude, I don't want to be in debt anymore. I went to college. I did this. I did that. I don't want to live the way my parents lived. I don't want to do it. That decision is super powerful. Like part of the process of like joining a program like this or any sort of coaching is like the decision to make your life better. And when you decide with like your mind and your body and you decide and you spend the money, like it changes things. It changes things. It's wild. It's wild. I'll tell you, I have some clients who start seeing results before we even get the call. Like they'll book their appointment with me and they'll be like, I'll tell you, I've been better with my money just having paid you this amount. And we didn't like, I don't do the calls the same day people book them. And it's because we started that exchange. It's wild. All right. So anyways, so if you want to ask me questions about Cash Confident, you want the link to sign up, send me a DM and I'll get you all the info that you need. And I love you and I appreciate you. And feel free to make any comments or to ask any questions. All right. Bye, everyone. Goodbye.